Welcome to Raka's world. On 6th of February this year, Turkey was devastated by a massive earthquake that measured 7.8 on the Richter scale. Over 45,000 people died because of the calamitous earthquake in Turkey. 8 years ago, in 2015, on April 26, Nepal too, Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal, too was devastated by a similar earthquake of the same magnitude, 7.8 on Richter scale. Only 8,700 people died in this earthquake. Why this discrepancy? More importantly, Turkey is bracketed as an higher income country which ranks 48th in the Human Development Index, whereas Nepal ranks 143rd in the Human Development Index. The per capita in Turkey is about, per capita income is about $10,000 US dollars, and the per capita in Nepal, per capita income in Nepal is around $1,200. Yet the destruction was more in Turkey and less in Nepal. But what is interesting is that Nepal's earthquake was foretold by seismologists and then aid officials, NGOs, and then various organizations connected with human development. They predicted that Nepal would soon be hit by an earthquake of a very high magnitude, and they also predicted that over 1 lakh people would die in this calamitous earthquake and over 3 lakh people would be left injured. But when the earthquake happened, the casualties stopped at 8,778. Why this discrepancy? Why is it that the World Bank, why is it that the expert predictions on the death toll as well as the injured people have gone haywire, utterly wrong? Totally false. What is the reason for that? Why is it that the Nepal falsified the World Bank prediction and belied the World Bank's doomsday prediction? In fact, the World Bank and in fact the seismologists and the Western authorities on earthquakes and relief and rehabilitation works, they have predicted that Nepal had a poor urban infrastructure, then had a very corrupt administration, and it was not, it was not prepared fully for risk management, calamity management, and disaster relief and rehabilitation. So they predicted a very high toll. But it didn't happen. The toll was less than 10,000, and the recovery of Nepal too was quite fast, faster than many of the Western predictions. Western predictions have said that Nepal would take a long time for recovery, but the Nepal's recovery was comparatively faster. Here again, the Western predictions were belied and were falsified. Why? The problem with Western predictions, the predictions by the so-called experts, have been based on a colonizer's mindset. They looked at Nepal from a colonizer's point of view, and they expected Nepal to actually totally get crushed under the impact of the earthquake, and they predicted a very huge, death toll. And their predictions were based on the inputs provided by certain NGOs, certain aid, certain organizations that live on Western funds, and these have actually predicted doomsday, kind of scenario, and they were the ones who feeded the world organizations with the inputs, saying that Nepal would not be in a position to withstand an earthquake and the toll would be exorbitantly high. So if the Western authorities and Western experts were, fooled by a colonizer mindset, they went wrong because of a colonizer mindset. The people who supplied inputs from Nepal were suffering from a colonized mindset. There is a lesson for Indian for India and from this. The lesson is that we too have people who suffer from colonized mindset and feel that you need to supplicate before the Western agencies, Western funding agencies, Western experts, and then toe their line and cannot contradict their predictions, their line, and their the line they adopt. And they feel that it is important to toe the Western line. So they keep feeding information inputs that suit the Western narrative of India, Western outlook of India. This is at the root of all these unfavorable indices that actually place India quite low in the order. The Western mindset is still the colonizers' mindset, and the Indian informants, most of these surveys and others, most of these indices are not on actual survey, not based on ground realities and ground level surveys. They're based on the inputs and the opinions of some 1500 or 1600 so-called opinion makers who essentially are NGO activists, rights activists, and then academia who supplicate before the Western academic institutions. And the information inputs gathered from these people is at the basis of all these indices. Just as the world agencies, the experts, the so-called experts have gone utterly wrong in case of Nepal, they're going utterly wrong in case of India too. When they place India on the development or the human rights or even the happiness index. The height of irony is that Pakistan is placed much higher than India in the happiness index. One only has to look at the long winding queues and the near right kind of situation in Pakistan for a bag of flour, wheat flour, to make chapatis and rotis. And the indices place Pakistan above India in terms of happiness index. So it is important that the Indian agencies, Indian organizations, NGOs, and the so-called academia, so-called intellectual class to come out of the colonized mindset and look at India from India's perspective. Look at India's history, India's growth, in India's growth story from an Indian standpoint, not from the Western standpoint. If they do not do, they will continue to falter as they have faltered in case of Nepal. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel Raka Lokam. Thank you so much for your support.